Allowing you're still alive, 6 to 8 years to arrive. And if you follow them, maybe out tomorrow. But if the offers shine, you might as well be walking on the sun.
All right, welcome back to the Stockwell Eldridge Show. We've got a lot. This was one of the best breaks in between segments we had, so we're going to dive right into it. But we got a correction. What do they do in an editorial? They put a note. What do you say? Correction or
asterisks?
Here's a correction. Millennials, also known as the millennial generation or Generation Y, or abbreviated to Gen Y. So Gen Y is you are the millennials. You got two names, folks. So
Lucky.
Bye.
so we were talking on break, and Mark was sharing some information about the Minneapolis rental market. You said it's
just with how booming the rental market itself is, and how people are, more renters are not wanting to buy a house. They want to be in the rental market, and the availability of apartments out there in Minneapolis is huge right now.
Mm-hmm. And he just bought an investment
and I just bought an investment property actually just a few months ago.
To rent it.
To rent it.
Smart man.
Yes,
Very
to
smart.
rent it out.
Because we have gals like Bridget.
Yeah, and Bridget shared something, and I'm like, what?
But I'm so excited. See, that's why we were
What
brought
did you
together
say, Bridget?
because I'm going to get her.
The thought of buying a house really terrifies me.
The
But
stuff
Sheila,
you
can
said,
I
the
ask
stuff
Bridget-
we said scared you. What was it?
Just all of it.
I was just going to say, I'm not going to ask you your age, Bridget, but are you a Gen Y or a Gen X?
She's a millennial.
I am a millennial.
A millennial, right? But you know what, though? Bridget, that's great. I appreciate your honesty because that is so true. And it's like, how do we?
She said she wanted to quote her earlier. She said she wanted to crawl.
Under
the thought
a
of buying a home makes you want to crawl under a rock or in a hole or something.
Yeah. And it's so, and it's like, how do we reach people like you? You know what I mean? Like, that's what I tell my clients all the time at Wells Fargo. Like, how do we reach customers? Because you're right. I mean, it's one of the largest investments you're going to make in your lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
And it is. I mean, I remember when I bought my first home, I was a single woman. I thought, oh, no, I'm going to wait till I get married. And I was like, oh, no, forget that.
I think that when I bought a house 4 years ago, I'd been renting for a while, and it was at the point where I'm going, I feel like I'm just kind of wasting money on renting.
Mm-hmm.
I want to move to buying a house. And I think had I would have known that there was programs out there to kind of walk you through it, there's a lot that goes into it. But
Right.
knowing that there's
Were
programs
you
out
married
there,
at the time when you bought your house?
I was
So
just
was it-
recently married.
Okay.
Yeah,
well, and we
that's the
talked about
kicker.
that before, too,
Yeah.
how that can be a strain on a relationship because based on how you grew up, maybe one person, we have people all the time who say, my parents, I've lived in apartments my whole life. I'm the first person in my family to own a home,
Yep.
And so then you get another person and all those questions and your beliefs about money and down payment and buying a house versus your spouse or, even if you're an individual, but yes. Call Stephanie, call me, 612-940-7335 or step into Wells Fargo, ask about our program, My Home Roadmap. It is excellent, and our real estate agents love it as well because you meet with people who say, well, something happened with their credit, they're going to wait for their tax return money or they're going to wait
You're
for
informed,
their
you know
wedding
what's
money.
going on.
And, check back with me, show me houses in a year from now. Well, hey, get in this program so when we can send them back to you in a year from now, 100% prepared with full.
You won't believe how easy it is. Honestly, you won't.
Well,
You
as
won't.
long as you make the payments, I think it's.
Well, that's what they always say at the
important.
closing table. You don't pay. Here, this is the form you're going to sign. Basically, it's 5 pages, and it just says if you don't pay, you don't stay.
Yeah.
Yep.
A lot
So-
of people miss that, though.
I think we're going to do a show coming up, and that Bridget prompted the idea is to take the fear out of home ownership. Like why you don't need to feel like you want to crawl in a hole or under a rock.
Right.
Like that should be the title of the show.
Let's
And,
get some X,
so-
Y, and Zers in here, and we're going to compare.
There you go.
So, Mark, quick question about to real estate here. The rental that you bought, is it a single family home, duplex, or fourplex? Or
Duplex.
nice. Those
Yep.
are the best to buy right
Yep.
now.
Side-
And how
by
did you
side.
decide on the area? Did you say you bought it in Minneapolis?
I
or-
did. Really, I wanted to be in Minneapolis,
Yep.
in Minneapolis proper, and just really looked at a number of different areas. Obviously, had a price point in mind that I wanted to stay within, and found one down in Southeast Minneapolis, and it's
Did
great.
you rent it, or was it currently rented? How did that go?
It was currently rented, so I have renters in there now.
Kept them in. They just
Yep.
maintain. Okay,
Kept them in.
nice.
So, really not a lot of transition, in that aspect, and just really looking forward to, having that first investment property for me and building on that in the future.
So
Yeah.
how did you get out? So we have Bridget over here who wants to crawl on a rock just about buying her first home, and then we've got Mark who's buying. Is
Bought his
that your
first
first
investment,
investment
yeah.
property? Was that your first one?
It is my first one, and my father's had a number of investment properties for many years, so I've
Okay.
it's
So
been
you
So
around.
you
I'm
saw
familiar-
the
I'm familiar with the process and,
Yep.
and what it takes, and kind of the upkeep of it. So it's something that I've always wanted to do.
Yeah,
That's
I was going to
awesome.
say yeah. So how did you?
Congratulations on
Yeah.
that. That's a big step. We talk about on a lot of shows about the fear of the first investment property, because that's the one you want to make it right. Because if that's a mess, you might get
Right.
scared and
And
never
there's
do
so
it
much
again because there's so much
misconceptions, on the
opportunity.
TV shows and everything like that. Like Flip This House, they make it look so easy. And did you have to do any renovations, things like that, or was it pretty much?
No, I mean, minor cleaning and things like that, but
Turnkey. And the beauty of
turnkey, I mean,
beauty of
it's-
Mark's was it was already rented.
Correct.
And they stayed in. A lot of times, what happens is you buy them and then you got to get them rented, and you don't know the history of the tenants, and then you have that month or so lag where there's no income coming in right away. So that's where the hurdle is. There's the outlay up front is a hurdle, but believe me, it comes back tenfold in the long run, right? Or 100-fold if you hold it long enough. That initial work and investment that you put in. So
Well, and I think like you guys said, it's it is a long-term investment for me. This
Yes.
is something that I'm planning to have,
For the triplets.
For the
I was going to say
for the
it's
triplets
a
in the
duplex.
future,
Okay, the two
exactly.
boys on one side and the
you
sister
go.
on
There
the
you
other
go.
side. There you go.
And 20 years from now is when it's really going to be paying off for me and being a real moneymaker, which is why I bought it.
Yep, smart, very good, very smart.
great.
And Minneapolis has got so much going on. There's so much infrastructure, so much money going in, and there's just so much more demand at being more central with just the convenience. And if anybody's been on the roads lately, folks, you see why it wouldn't be bad to live in Minneapolis if you work in Minneapolis, because it's insane. It's nuts getting around right
Right.
now. It's so frustrating.
I think road construction is worse than a snowstorm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
seriously.
at least a snowstorm may get done in a day. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Or at least the worst.
Or one day the road is open, the next day it's closed.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
that's bad. Yeah, when
Yeah.
you're going somewhere and you're like, that's what I tell people too now is I'm so when you're late for appointments, you're late for something, and you leave even with extra time, middle of the day, and you leave with extra time. It's almost just like we got to know that we got to give people grace, as Melissa said, is because there's just so much road work and you can't control it. I mean, you could leave
Right.
at noon thinking on a Thursday that it's fine, but then you get to the 494 and you're like, why are we going 10 miles an hour right now at noon on a Thursday?
Right.
Or 10 a.m. It doesn't matter. What time it is almost. It's just rush hour.
Well, I was going to say,
all day.
So speaking of Minneapolis and getting out of your car and walking,
Oh, yes.
we should talk about the Twin Cities Walk at Target Field for Alzheimer's.
Absolutely.
So that's coming up, folks. Just write it down right now or jot it down. September 17th, Saturday. So thank you, Mark Thompson, Bridget Rissman. Did I say that right? Rissman
did.
for coming here. You're involved in the Alzheimer's Association. Mark, you're a volunteer.
I am.
And Bridget, you work for them.
I do.
Right. Okay. So can you guys share your stories about what got you involved with Alzheimer's Association? What your maybe Mark, start with you. What
Sure.
got you involved as a volunteer?
Yeah, absolutely.
About yourself. We know you bought investment property. We know you have triplets.
Yeah.
So
my involvement with the Alzheimer's Association started. This actually will be my 6th walk. We started walking in 2011 was our first walk, my family, and that was shortly after my mother Lucy got diagnosed with Alzheimer's. We found out about the walk a couple weeks after her formal diagnosis, and walked that first year, and it was, a very small involvement for us. We really just got out there and kind of saw the operation. The following year, I decided to join the Alzheimer's Walk Committee, which is all made up of volunteers. This year, I think we had around 50 volunteers on our walk committee, essentially helping out planning the walk. So planning different aspects of, day of, and obviously fundraising moving up to that, and getting teams to come out and walk with us, and obviously new participants, and just make sure that everybody knows that, we have a walk here in the Twin Cities.
How long is the walk?
The walk, we have a 1 mile and a 3 mile option.
Nice.
So we actually have a new route this year, still within the streets of Minneapolis, but we're still starting and ending at Target Field like we have the last couple of years, but just avoiding Nicollet Mall this year since there's
Oh, yeah.
once again
Construction.
construction.
Oh,
on
no.
Nicollet
Oh my
Mall
gosh, we
right
can't
now.
even
Yep.
walk without construction for crying out
So
loud.
yeah, so we're looking forward to it. It's we've got a great new route this year. My story, like I said, my mother was diagnosed in 2011 at age 60 with early onset Alzheimer's, which was unfortunately something that her mother passed away from about 20 years ago. So I was about 11 when she passed away, at a time where we really knew nothing about Alzheimer's. So she had a 5-year battle with Alzheimer's and actually passed away the day after the walk last year.
Oh my gosh.
At 65 years old. So that's essentially why I've been involved in the walk. Is I'm walking for her, I'm walking for myself, I'm walking for my sisters and my brother. I'm walking for my kids and everybody else in my family and those that are out there struggling and dealing with this awful disease.
Yeah, that's great that your involvement and also that you're doing it for the people that
Yeah.
you love.
Yeah.
Because if that was your grandmother and your mother, sadly, that's tough.
Well, and it's, I think I was just going to say, what a nice way to honor your mom and, and just, keep the fight alive for all, to find a cure and find treatments and all those kind of things. So
The walk, so you'll be there, I presume, Mark, right, this
Yep.
year again?
Yep, I'll be there.
Mark and Mark Thompson and Bridget Risman, are you going to be there walking as
Oh,
well?
yeah.
So you guys doing the 1
We'll
mile?
be
3
there
mile,
bright
1
and
mile?
early. I'll be doing the 3 mile.
Nice,
Absolutely.
nice.
now, is there a
Absolutely.
time limit for us slowpokes
what
over
time
here?
does the walk start?
So the walk starts at, I believe we have a program starting at 9 o'clock.
Okay.
The gates are going to open at 7:30 that morning. So we're going to have a number of fun activities to be doing prior to the program starting. So 7:30, program starts at 9 o'clock. Walking about 9:15 or
And
so. And
I say the website alz.org.
alz.org/walk.
alz.org/walk to
Yep.
get more information.
Yep.
And we'll be back. You can find this on our Facebook page under Stockwell Eldritch Show and on YouTube. We'll have the show. And we'll be back to hear more from Bridget and Mark. Stay tuned.
Walk like an Egyptian.